Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to what will almost certainly be a far more grounded match reaction compared to last week's chaos after the cup final. Cup final hangover, you could say. I mean, that's what it felt like when I seen the starting 11 today. Felt like half the squad were gone with a hangover. We'll get into that. Nonetheless, Dundee United 0, Celtic 0. A very poor performance from Celtic this afternoon, which sees us drop points for only the second time this season. But I don't think it's that has people talking. I don't think it's that has people annoyed. I think it's the manner of how Celtic have walked away without even a goal this afternoon. So let's talk about that. Like and subscribe, all of that jazz. The support has been fantastic, and I appreciate you guys helping the channel out through this busy festive period. It's time to talk about today's game. As I said, Dundee United 0, Celtic 0. Not an easy one to sit through. It was one of those days. I think that Celtic could still be playing right now as I record this video, and we wouldn't score a goal. I think that you could extend the game by another 90 minutes. You could play extra time and penalties like last week, plus extra time, and Celtic wouldn't score a goal. It just wasn't going to happen today. It was a bad day at the office for Brendan Rodgers' side, and ultimately we paid a price. The gap at the top of the table has been cut down to 9 points. Still a very good position to be in by Christmas Day. I mean, if you told me in August, look, listen, Christmas Day, you'll be 9 points clear of Rangers. Oh, I'd have loved it. Thank you. Undefeated, 9 points clear. And I think that's what I'm trying to take away from today's game. I think it's one of those games that does need a little bit of perspective coming out of it. And I know that might be hard to do for some of you, and I assume that some of you will still be hurting after dropping points today, and I get that. Was I angry? Was I annoyed? Yes. Oh, when that final whistle went, I was fuming. I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely fuming. But as I watched the team walk up the tunnel, leave the pitch and go back into the dressing rooms, I tried to let the dust settle, and I tried to look at it with a bit of perspective. The fact that we went into today with a side that was nowhere near its best, the fact that we had players on that park today and players within the squad who probably wouldn't even start a game for Dundee United, and we left still undefeated, and that we left in the position that we do, dropping points for, as I said, 16 games played this season, only to drop points for the second time against a Dundee United side who, hell, have had a great season so far, been one of the better teams in the league, have been enjoying a successful run with Jim Goodwin since returning to the top flight, and one of the trickier places to go in Tannadice. When you consider everything about today's game, I think perspective is important, and I'm not saying that that means you can't be annoyed, you can't be angry with aspects of today's performance, because trust me, we will get into them in this video, but I think that you need to be keen to ensure yourself, and I'm keen to ensure that we don't get carried away. I've seen a lot of people angry online, and I get that. My initial reaction, as I said, to the full-time whistle was a sort of annoyed and angry side. But 16 played, 14 won, 2 drawn. It's been a pretty damn good start. I think what probably doesn't help is this has been kind of coming. I think dropping points in the league has been something that we've been building towards. Some of the performances have been kind of dipping off. Rangers last week, of course, we had to take it all the way to penalties. You look at Europe, we dropped points to Zagreb and Bruges in performances that weren't too great. Some of the games that we've even been winning have maybe not been to the same standard as we started the campaign. But, you know, we're playing a hell of a lot of football. And I think today, more than ever, we have seen that Celtic squad, if you've to take anything away from today, still needs a lot of work done to it. That January is still a big, big month for Celtic. And with all this football being played, we are relying on a lot of the same core 7 or 8 players. You know, you take Nicholas Kuhn and Alistair Johnson out of that side today, for example, and I thought we were really lacking quality on that right hand side. You look at the even missing the likes of Vickers and Trusty. Defensively, we didn't have to do much today, and I couldn't fault anybody's performances defensively, but I think that you miss so much with Cameron Carter-Vickers taking the ball up the park. You miss so much with Johnson being able to take the ball up the park. There was just players missing today, which made the game really difficult for Celtic to kind of navigate a narrow, a compact, and a difficult Dundee United side. So, for as negative as today can be, I think, and not to be a happy clapper, and not to be somebody who's just trying to write over the wrongs of today, a bit of perspective, I think, allows us to go, you know what, things are good. things are fine. And our performances will get better. I truly believe that, even though the last few weeks have felt a little bit damp compared to the start to the season we had. I'm full of faith that Brendan Rodgers will turn that around. Let's take it back to the start. There is things that we need to talk about. There are players that we need to talk about. And I know that I'm sitting here going, oh, let's not get too carried away. But, for some, that might have been the final nail in the coffin of their Celtic careers this afternoon. I'm not going to beat around the bush there. Look, listen, we all got the fright of our lives when that team was announced this morning. It didn't look like Celtic did it. We seen, Ralston, Welsh, Scales and Taylor as the back four. By the way, a back four that, as Ian Crocker pointed out, have only played once together. So that was always going to be a risk. The fact that Yang was starting the right wing, the fact that we had to bring up a couple of the B team lads, I think it was Donovan and Bonner on the bench, the fact that Palma was going to have to be relied on, it was a very dodgy looking Celtic side, the kind of side that I think everybody in their group chats would have been saying, oh, I don't know, we could drop points today, and we did. And when you miss players like Kuhn, Trusty, Vickers, Johnston, even guys like Alex Valley, for example, when you're missing these players, it makes life difficult, because these are the guys that are in the team every single week. So it's not just about the quality they offer, but also the continuity in the side. Because today's Celtic side did look a little bit, I don't know, disjointed at moments in the game, and I think you could see that especially playing out from the back. I'm so sorry, but I'm just going to have to throw folk under the bus. Ralston, Welsh, and even Scales can be guilty of it. Very, very, very guilty of not being able to progress the ball forward positively enough. It's very side to side, it's very slow, it's very safe. And I don't know, I feel like when at least Johnson and Vickers are on the park especially, I think Trusty's still trying to get there, but especially when those two are on the park, it's night and day with progressing the ball up the field. Now I know Celtic are known, and Brendan Rodgers football is known for being a little bit like that kind of side to side and slow progression. But I think when you've got players who are confident and are used to doing it every week, they can afford to take a risk, and they're able to spot a risk. Whereas today, I don't think we quite had that. So I think it was a bit disjointed, and I think that team ultimately was going to be one that did struggle. And Dundee United knew exactly what to do. They kept themselves narrow, they kept themselves so tucked in. They forced Celtic into the wide areas, where today we had no quality in the wide areas. And that counts for you too, Dyson Maiden? Who's Dyson Maiden? Dyson Maida, because he wasn't good enough today. And Yang wouldn't start for Dundee United. He's terrible. And I don't care. That's the final nail for me. I'm sorry. It is. If we're going to talk about the first half, oh God, we need to talk about Yang's performance and a few others. It was just a bit lifeless. I think that we were better in the first than we were in the second. I don't know if you'd agree with me. The way that I felt the first half went was we were creating enough chances, we were dominating, we were good enough, but we were just missing that final product. That's how the first half went for me. I genuinely think that the first was better than the second. And the final product is what cost us. Dyson Maida looked... Was it just me? He looked pissed. I thought he was on it last night. I just thought Maida was very clumsy. His first touch was poor. He was letting the ball run away from him without really trying to chase it down. His crossing wasn't great. I just thought Maida looked pissed. I was like, he's still on it for the cup final. And Yang, oh good lord, Yang. He's somebody that I think Celtic just need to cut their losses with and let go in January. He isn't good enough to be a Celtic player. I know what some people might still be saying, oh, he wasn't that bad. He was. He offered nothing. Absolutely nothing. And Dundee United were loving it. They were loving the ball being sent out to him, because they knew that he can't cross a ball for the life of him. They knew that, he might be able to dribble, he might be able to get by a man, but he's not going to do anything with it when he gets by that man. And there was that one instance in the first half where Yang went to cross the ball to Kyogo, and he doesn't look up. He does really well to beat his man. If he looks up and he looks for Kyogo's run, and he finds Kyogo like any decent winger probably would, you're talking about at least a goal-scoring opportunity. I'm not saying it's a guaranteed goal for Celtic, but you're looking at a goal-scoring opportunity. But he doesn't look up. He just hits the ball where he thinks Kyogo will be. And as a winger, one of the first things you're taught when you're 8, 9 years old, when you're at your football training camps, or if you're signed to a club or whatever, look up. Find your man. Yang isn't a young lad anymore. He is a young lad, right? Sorry, he's younger than me, for God's sake, right? But he's not 16, 17. He's not just breaking into the Celtic side. This is a lad in his 20s. This is a lad who has been brought in to be first team quality. And if he can't look up to find a pass, there's no hope. That's it for me. And I think there's been one too many chances from there. Now, I know people know fine well, if you've been watching me long enough, I'm not a huge Yang fan. I haven't been since he basically came here. He's one of those players that from the minute I saw him, I didn't think he was good enough. I've gave him time, and I've gave him time and time again to try and prove me wrong. And there's been 10-minute periods where he's maybe proven me wrong. But when you're handed these starts and you don't prove it, I'm sorry, it's gone. It's not like, Maeda had an off day today, but it's fine. We can let Maeda away with it because we know the quality he can offer us. Yang, on the other hand, he's not done that for Celtic. And some of you might think I'm being harsh on him, but I think the brutal reality of it is if we need to improve, Yang's got to be one of the players who moves on. He's just simply not at the level required. And I don't think he ever will be. I just don't. I'm sorry, for me today, that was it for him. And yeah, as I said, we kept making chances for ourselves, but the final product wasn't there. We'll come on to Kyogo a bit more in the second half, but he was just not at the races either. I think he kept finding himself maybe out of position. Hatate had a chance or two, bluttered it over the bar, hit it wide. McGregor had a couple of opportunities. We just didn't have the final product. And honestly, when the halftime whistle went, I was confident we'd go on and win the game. But as I said, I just think we were worse in the second half. Second half started, more of the same, dominating the game. Dundee United weren't in it. They were quite happy to do what they were doing, and rightly so. A point for them today was a good result. Second half was a bit painful. We made changes, which I think impacted the game initially, and then it just started losing its touch, and it kind of wore off as the minutes went by. But well, have we got to talk about Kyogo? I think we have got to talk about Kyogo. He put it this way: Celtic should have won 1-0 today. Kyogo's miss, if you can call it a miss, is arguably miss of the season. Why do I say if you can call it a miss? Because he doesn't even kick the ball. So, it's hard to call it a miss. I don't know what's wrong with Kyogo at the minute. But we need to have a conversation about it soon, if things don't change. And maybe the conversation should already be starting, because we're in the 22nd of December. We're almost halfway through the season. And he's been nowhere near the player that we know he can be. We're used to Kyogo scoring 20 goals a season at least. 15, 20 goals. He's not going to get anywhere near that this year. He's been beyond poor. And that today was, I don't know, a Kyogo that panicked, that worried, a Kyogo that's just not Kyogo. And a lot of people on Twitter saying, is it time for the uncomfortable conversation? Is he washed? Is he finished? Now, don't get me wrong. I think that it's easy to push yourself into the realm of overreaction when it comes to a miss like that. But is it overreaction? Because he's not been at it all season. We've been relying on our goals coming from Kuhn and Maeda and McGregor and other players. And Ida coming off the bench and scoring us a few. And by all accounts, I don't think he has had a cracking season by any stretch. But Kyogo, who is meant to be the star man, who's meant to be the goal scorer, he's struggling. And that's the conversation we at least need to have, is he's struggling, and I don't know why. It is very bizarre. But that today that's a shocker. You've got to bust the net with that. The football being played to lead up to the opportunity is brilliant, and it's a fantastic ball. I think it's Maeda who plays the final ball through, and you've got to score it. And I think he kicks the ground. And don't get me wrong, listen, it's easy to make these mistakes. We've all done it. If you play five-a-sides or if you play Sunday League or whatever, we've all done it. We've all kicked the ball. We've all kicked the ground. We've all had these mistakes. They're very easily done. But I think for Kyogo, it's just happening once too often for him this season. And people are getting rightly frustrated. I've seen people on this channel saying that I've got somewhat of an agenda against Kyogo. I fucking love Kyogo. I adore the wee man. He's been fantastic for us. But as of recent weeks and recent months, you've got to have a conversation about form. And his form's just not there at the minute. And that's a chance that cost Celtic 3 points today. He's not the only one guilty. Absolutely not. But that chance in particular, that's the one today. That's the one that Celtic need to convert. And I truly do believe if we found a goal early enough today, the floodgates would have opened. I think Dundee United would have had to have stopped being so narrow, and they'd have to come out a wee bit. And I think the floodgates would have opened for Celtic to score 2 or 3. But you miss chances like that, no floodgates are opening. And I don't know, if he doesn't buck up his ideas soon, conversations will start. If they haven't for some already. I mean, it wouldn't be fair of me to talk about Yang and Kyogo in particular without talking about some of the other poorer performers today. Palma, his Celtic career's done. It's finished. It's over. First two or three minutes. All the first 5 minutes he came on, I actually thought Palma looked decent. I thought he brought a change to the game. But then, whoa, what happened? Thought it fell off a cliff. Just like his Celtic career. First 5 minutes of it was good. And he just, do you know what we need to talk about as well? I am all for Celtic bringing in a set-piece coach or something. I am fucking fed up of our set-pieces. Corner kicks, free kicks. There's no point in taking them. We may as well give them away. And you know what? When we get a corner, just take the goal kick. Just take it. Because we're useless. We keep hearing about Arsenal and this fantastic set-piece they've got. They've got a fucking mural for them outside the stadium now. We see Austin McPhee having great success with Aston Villa. He was a set-piece coach there. I don't know if he still is or if he's been promoted, but he was set-piece coach. Been really vital for Aston Villa's successes. And a few clubs up and down the country are starting to employ specialised set-piece coaches. Every corner we take, it feels like it can't beat the first man. Every free kick we take is hitting the wall. What was Hatate's free kick? Hatate was rotten today, wasn't he? Hatate on his day though. No, he was really bad today. But the free kick, rolling it along the ground and smacking it off the boots of the player in the wall. What the... At least, if you're going to hit the wall, at least put height in it. We need to improve our set-piece use. For the best team in the country, by a country mile... and we can't hit a set piece is slightly embarrassing, to be quite honest, and it needs to change. And that's not, I don't think this is necessarily a Brendan Rodgers problem. It was the same under Ange. It was the same under Lenny. It's been the same for years, it feels. We have been totally, utterly useless with our set pieces. And something needs to change there. I don't know what it's going to take, if it is a set piece coach. Who knows? But I'm fed up of watching crosses at the first man. That's what started happening with Palma in the second half when he came on. After the first 5 or so minutes, he couldn't even cross the ball. He kept running it into Dundee United. He kept running it to play. Kyogo went out wide. It was the same. Maida was having a nightmare with it. We just couldn't beat the first man, and it was very, very annoying. But second half, we were just... Look, it was a few players. I think we waited a wee bit too long maybe to bring on Engels. For me, I think he should have came on a wee bit earlier. But listen, it was a poor performance all round. As I said, it's hard to do sometimes, especially in this day and age where we're so used to Celtic winning and steamrolling teams that every point dropped feels like a catastrophe. I think perspective is needed on terms of the season we've had so far, and remember how good we have actually been. And hopefully it picks up. The performances have been a bit subpar the last few weeks, and there's no escaping that. But hopefully Motherwell on Thursday changes that. We need to pick up the form heading into this derby, in terms of our ability to be easier on the eye anyway. Listen, things are good at Celtic. It's dropped points today. It's annoying. A few players will be disappointed with themselves, but hopefully we're back to full strength come Thursday and things are okay. Anyway, until next time, this has gone on far too long. Take care. God bless. Merry Christmas when it comes. We'll be on the podcast tomorrow. Don't worry. See you next time.